Armin Schwartz still pushing hard, still learning fast in his Toyota. But the local driver Thomas Jansson's one place ahead, heading to the finish in 8th. In 7th place overall, the veteran Stig Blomqvist, proving there is no match for experience in a Swedish blizzard. Penalty-free run has moved Bruno Thierry one place further ahead. He's heading home in 6th on his debut Swedish rally. Didier Auriol's heading home 5th, but he's disappointed with that result. Still feels that the Toyota is down on power compared with its opposition. That's an opinion that's been shared by Juha Kankkunen, the flying Finn with Nicky Grist on the maps.
Long K left, opens.
An inspired drive by Kankkunen moves him ahead of Auriol in the final stages. He's heading home in 4th. But Thomas Rudstrom, the local Swedish driver, has headed both Toyota's world champions. A fine 3rd place beckons. But ahead of them both, it's a Mitsubishi 1-2. Tommi Mäkinen first on the road, now with nearly a 30-second advantage over his Swedish teammate. But on the final stage, Mäkinen pulls to the side. The team orders that stood overnight are still in force. He has to wait, to the jeers of the crowd. The Swedish sense of fair play is outraged, even surpassing the thought of having a Swedish rally winner. Tommi Mäkinen takes the time penalty, heads to the finish in 2nd position. The moral winner perhaps, but the man who'll head the leaderboard back in Karlstad is Kenneth Eriksson.
It was unfortunate in the end there, we had to slow them down on the last day, but they had 2 days of hard competition and they came in last night a second apart, and we decided that that was enough and we would now hold the position and get to the finish. There was too much risk for them to be driving flat out today against each other.
No, we have a fantastic car, fantastic suspension, a good team, and tyres has been working very well, and I think it's a packet of everything.
So a controversial result to the Swedish rally, but it's Kenneth Eriksson who'll go down in the record books as the winner. Tommi Mäkinen perhaps the moral victor in 2nd place. Mitsubishi though 1-2, with the Toyotas 3rd, 4th and 5th, and Ford beaten into 6th and 7th. Mitsubishi's result though will move them to the head of the Manufacturers' Championship, and Tommi Mäkinen's 2nd place will move him to the head of the Drivers' title race, ahead of Juha Kankkunen by 3 points. Carlos Sainz, Kenneth Eriksson and Francois Delacour completing the top 5. In the Manufacturers' title race, Mitsubishi's round 100 now takes them ahead of Ford, Toyota and Subaru, heading into round 3. The 3rd round of the World Championship, the Rally of Portugal, certainly one of the most characterful rallies in the World Championship circuit. Spring on the Atlantic coast of Portugal. Moving inland to the mountains, the stages are fast, dusty, and Carlos Sainz is a master of them. The red and yellow flags of Spain line the stages. The klaxons blare as Carlos sets the pace for the Subaru team. The Spaniards smashed the lead at the end of the first night, but as the second leg comes to its close, Sainz is battling hard to hold off the challenge of the Finn Juha Kankkunen in his Toyota. But the distinctive crackle and bark of the flat four Subaru engine is a hit with the Portuguese fans. Here he's known as King Carlos, but the challenge to his throne is going to come from Kankkunen as the day progresses.
I've been trying very hard the whole day, but risking a lot. Maybe I take 1 or 2 seconds in one stage, but in the next one you take 5-6 seconds. So it's, I think at the moment it's no chance for us.
Colin McRae was equally spectacular in his Subaru Impreza. But after the problems in Sweden, the Subaru team have been forced to detune their engines. The lack of power is something that Colin McRae was very aware of.
The engine in the car's not good at all, and we just can't make any time. We're just losing a bit every stage, so there's nothing I can do.
The third Subaru Impreza 555, driven by Berkshire's Richard Burns, a former British rally champion. Here in the supporting role, Burns is learning fast. He's also scoring vitally needed manufacturers' championship points for the Subaru team to keep them in contention with Ford and Mitsubishi. Sainz, though, is second, McRae third, and Burns eighth. But the man setting the pace and taking the battle to the Subarus is the head of the Toyota Challenge. Flying Finn Juha Kankkunen, spectacular, smooth, and precise as ever. And a lot of that precision goes down to one man, Nicky Grist on the pace notes.
30, fast right, narrow and flat left, 50. Crest to easy right and keep left over 40 over crest to fast right. 30, long fast left, bad camber. And 50. Long fast right. 40, long K right over crest.
At last, it seems to be coming good for Toyota. The Celica is on the pace, it's got the power and it's got the handling they've been seeking for over a year.
5 seconds behind this morning and now 22 in front, so good day.
The Toyotas look very powerful today. Where's the extra power from?
I don't know, it's from here maybe.
Didier Auriol too, having a good event in the Toyota Celica. Battling with McRae for third, he was having a good event, but some things just spoil your day. Amazingly, the battered and bruised Toyota continued, losing just one place, down to fourth.
We have one junction after 3-4 kilometers, right junction, and okay, I arrive and the car took on two wheel, but not slice the back and just block, you know. And
meanwhile, the third Toyota was doing well too, in the hands of the German Armin Schwarz. was now just 1 place behind Oriol, 5th overall. Flying over the famous jump at Pfaff. 1st, 4th and 5th, the Toyotas were back on the pace. So at the end of the second leg, Kankkunen leads ahead of Oriol and Schwartz in the Toyota lineup. The question was, could they make it stick? Meanwhile, Francois Delacour in the Ford was another driver, pushing hard, perhaps a little too hard. Swiftly into service, the front end damage being seen to by the Ford mechanics.
It was in a very, very slow corner. In the first gear, I cut too much a corner. There was big rocks. And then after I rolled, and I was calling somebody to help me to put the car again on the wheel. And I lose about 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40. But the car is still okay. There is not a big problem. Only the body shell is bad.
Well, that's what Francois thought. The poor battered Ford Escort had other ideas. Delacour was heading for retirement on the very next stage with engine failure. That left Bruno Thierry and Alessandro Fiorio upholding the Ford honours. Thierry was doing that admirably, 6th place. The Escort's still suffering from some handling problems, pronounced understeer when Thierry backs off the throttle. But despite that, 6th overall is a very good result. Meanwhile, Alessandro Fiorio too is having a good event. Up into the top 10 in the RAS Motorsport car, 9th overall at the end of the second leg. And that 30th birthday present for Alex Fiorio, 3 places behind Thierry, strengthens Ford's position. Meanwhile, Marcus Grunholm's running well in the Toyota Celica. His privately entered car's up to 7th place amongst the works runners. And local hero Rui Madeira is leading Group N on his home event. So the classification as they start the third and final day shows Juha Kankkunen starting that day 22 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz in the Subaru, with Colin McRae third, Didier Auriol and Armin Schwartz making it an all Toyota, all Subaru head-to-head at the top of the field. Kankkunen blasts off the line. This is going to be the critical day's action. The pressure's on for Carlos Sainz. He knows he's got the Toyota to beat. Sainz is quick, Sainz is spectacular, but is it enough to beat the flying Finn in the flying Toyota? Kankkunen is driving at his inspired best, but so is Sainz. Second by second, kilometre by kilometre, the Spaniard is reeling in the Finn. The fans sense it.
Conditions of the road seems that it fits better for the Subaru than for the Toyota, so we have to attack and see how the ends.
Juha, Carlos seems to be on a charge. Is there anything that you can do to hold him back?
I try my best and then we will see.
Kankkunen's best is inspired. And as rain starts to soak the stages, Kankkunen is getting quicker all the time. The question is it quick enough? Sainz now throws caution to the winds. The The fans are crowding to the Portuguese stages. They know this one is a classic.
Para izquierda que se cierra, Sassar mucho, para derecha que corta Ras, para izquierda calenta tierra rasante, Sassar, para derecha que corta se abre, Madrid se acaba derecha casi kilómetro of the stage. We have no brakes for the stage.
Problems for Sainz on the final stage, but the time is good enough.
9:07, le hemos ganado de 2, sin frenos. Joaquín.
The champagne is sprayed. Sainz takes victory number 2.
A branch or something, and the branch broke the pipe, and then it was no chance. I thought we were going to lose. We were 3 or 4 times over the road. It was very, very close. Any of us could win. He was doing a fantastic race, and I mean, in this type of race, it's very, very close. That's really the matter who is winning, because I think he did an incredible race.
If you can find something good, at least the best thing is that we are competitive again, and we can win rallies maybe maybe this year, if not then next year.
Colin McRae, overshadowed by the classic action ahead of him, was still heading for a fine 3rd place in the second of the Subarus. That would help Subaru in the manufacturer's title chase, as well as helping Colin McRae's World Championship chances. Meanwhile, Armin Schwartz was holding on, 4th place in his Toyota. Tremendous support for Juha Kankkunen's 2nd position. And 5th place went to Didier Auriol in the battered Celica. They obviously build them tough at Toyota Team Europe's Cologne headquarters. Thumbs up for Bruno Thierry, but problems for him on the very final leg. Thierry continues, but the Escort obviously suffering from major handling problems. Marcus Grunholm in his privateer Grifoni Motorsport Toyota looked as if he was heading for 7th, but sadly this was the result. That allowed Richard Burns to move up a place in his Subaru. Learning all the time, this young driver is certainly a name for the future. And Alessandro Fiorio too was scoring a good, steady result for the Ford team, despite attacking a little bit of Portuguese scenery. Rui Madeira, though, was the home hero, heading for victory in Group N, ahead of Giorgio Ricaldi of Argentina and Isolde Holderide of Germany. Mitsubishi's 1-2-3, and as their nominated championship point scorers on this event, that was a maximum for the Mitsubishi team. But it was victory for Subaru and Carlos Sainz, with Juha Kankkunen a gracious 2nd. Colin McRae 3rd, ahead of the Toyotas of Schwartz and Auriol. Wide open at the top in the World Championship, as the teams now head to Corsica. In the Drivers' Championship, Carlos Sainz now moves to the head of the pack, with Juha Kankkunen 2nd and Tommi Mäkinen down to 3rd. Kenneth Eriksson's 4th, alongside Bruno Thierry. And in the manufacturer's title race, Mitsubishi now move ahead, with 131 points to Toyota's 121, Subaru 3rd and Ford 4th. But a popular victory, and victory number 2 in 1995 for the Spaniard Carlos Sainz. For the 4th round of the World Rally Championship, we move to the island of Corsica, the first of the all-tarmac events of this year's World Rally Championship. Closed public roads around the Mediterranean island, with a culture all of its own.
Colin, how does Corsica differ from the tarmac rallies in the British Isles?
It's just generally a lot more difficult. It's very, very twisty and long corners. The line's very important, whereas at home they're a lot shorter corners and a lot easier. You can see through most of the corners. Here you can't see the end of the corner, which makes it very difficult.
Very difficult indeed for the Subaru team, who were still struggling with their power output in comparison with the opposition. McRae was unhappy with that. Despite driving as hard as he knew how, he couldn't better 7th place on the opening legs. Tidiness and accuracy is absolutely crucial on the Corsica, and no one better to demonstrate it than Carlos Sainz. Inch perfect, right on the very limit.
Izquierda que corta en cuarta, izquierda poco, abrirse 2. Izquierda que en cuarta, izquierda poco, César mucho. Para derecha bueno más ojo, ras. Para izquierda rápida menos, para derecha que en cuarta, izquierda poco y mucho ras.
But even Sainz and Moya couldn't better 4th place on the opening stages of the event. The Italian Piero Liatti was making his 2nd start for the Subaru team. But on the tarmac, he proved capable of matching both Sainz and McRae's times. An impressive 5th place. For Sainz, 5th for Liatti and 7th for McRae meant that Subaru would have some work to do on the final day. And drama in the Toyota camp too, Denis Giroudet having to stand in for co-driver Bernard Uccelli on Didier Auriol's car.
Of course, it's not easy. Denis Giroudet, it's a good professional, but for him, it's the first time he come with me and he has absolutely no practice the stage. So we must wait and see what happens. But we see, we try.
And Toyota looks strong on this, their home event for Didier Auriol. With his new co-driver alongside him, the two adapt and fit together well. Giroudet working hard on his borrowed pace notes from Bernard Uccelli. But they're good enough to get the pairing up to 3rd overall as they enter the final day's motorsport. There's no room for a single mistake as speeds reach over 120 miles an hour. However, things weren't going so well for his teammate Juha Kankkunen. Never a specialist on the tarmac, Kankkunen was further suffering from a steering problem. At intermittent moments, the steering was going rigid on the Finnish driver. Not what you want on the Corsican island.
And keep right over 40 to long K left over crest. 50 long bad right times to 90 right over bridge. And very long bad left. 30. Long flat right over crest, 70.
Down in 9th place, Kankkunen was all for retirement, but the team management told him to press on to gain those vitally needed manufacturer's points. Armin Schwartz, though, was less lucky. The German was pushing hard, but he was set for retirement.
We had a problem on the road section after the first stage this morning. We lost something on the alternator and on the road section, and then we didn't get the power anymore. And we ran out of electricity and we stopped on the road section, couldn't repair it.
So just 2 Toyotas left in the running, with Didier Auriol though in 3rd place and Kankkunen holding on in 9th. But this was the rally where Ford came back to the fore. Francois Delacour blasted through the stages, second at the end of the second leg. The change from a 7 to a 6-speed gearbox, plus Catherine Francoise on the pace notes, seemed to work. But for Delacour, the new gearbox with its unaccustomed gear change pattern posed a problem.
I have done a big mistake because I was thinking that I had 7 speed, and I was trying to find the first gear down, and it was up, then I spin, and then the engine stopped. I lost about 10 seconds.
But despite Delacour's problem, there was still a Ford out in front. His teammate Bruno Thierry was storming through the Corsican stages. Fastest on the first 5 special stages, just sharing 1 time with Delacour, Thierry was the man to beat and looked in superlative form.
Yes, I am very happy in the moment. You know, it is the first time on my life to be in the leading. Yes, it is a crazy moment in the moment. I think it's difficult now to keep the pressure, but I try to do my best.
So, was this a World Championship renaissance for Ford? Well, the third driver in the team too was up into the top 10. The local hero, Patrick Bernardini, Mr. Corsica, was up to 8th overall. The crowd appreciate his spectacular driving style. So, Ford back at the front at the end of the second leg. Bruno Thierry leads Francois Delacour on the Corsica Rally, which sees the debut of the new Mitsubishi. The Lancer Evo 3, with its distinctive deep chin spoiler and huge radiator air intake, is making its debut in the hands of Tommi Mäkinen, 10th overall, and Andrea Reghini. Mäkinen coming to terms with the new car on unaccustomed tarmac very quickly indeed. Sophisticated new transmission system makes the car even easier to drive on the limit, and Mäkinen is taking full advantage. But he's comprehensively outpaced by Andrea Reghini. The Italian tarmac specialist certainly knows the way to pedal the new Mitsubishi. Sixth overall at the end of day 2, it's obvious that the rugby-based Rally Art concern have got a potential winner on their hands for the future. It's all the better for the Mitsubishi team because Reghini rolled his car and nearly destroyed it on the eve of the rally in shakedown testing. But notwithstanding that, he's 6th and Mäkinen's 10th as the rally enters its final stages. Overall, though, it's a Ford 1-2 with Bruno Thierry and Francois Delacour heading the field. Oriol 3rd in his Toyota ahead of the Subarus of Sainz and Liati. Reghini's 6th, McRae 7th, Bernardini 8th, Kankkunen and Mäkinen round out the top 10 as the final day dawns. And it dawns with Bruno Thierry in emphatic command. Fastest on the opening 2 special stages of the day, he extends his lead. Thierry looks like a man that can't be beaten, but around the corner at the next service area, disaster looms. Officially, it's only a refuelling point. That means that Thierry has to carry out any maintenance himself.
It was not really a service, it was a